Nice.
So if you want to, if you're comfortable with it, do you want to tell us what happened with the fire?
Sure, sure, I can go into that. So
Yeah.
the first week of this year in January, obviously, I was charging a lithium-ion battery, like it was a jump box battery that it was like a jump box to like a car charger or a
Okay.
car jump box, the little mini ones. And the charger port was a little janky on it, didn't really work all the time. It's a little USB port. So I charged it with a car charger, like a 12-volt trickle charger, plenty of
Yeah.
times before, and never had an issue. I did that. It's on like a zero point 0.4 amp trickle charge. Is also, I think, like 4 degrees, and maybe it might have been negative degrees here. And
Yeah.
the battery apparently exploded at some point in time in the morning. And on the same shelf that has the battery was charging was a gallon of diesel fuel in a jug, and that lit up and caught the wall on fire. Um, Luckily, I was home by chance. I drive a dump truck for a living, so we were off work because it was snowing and terrible weather. I
Right.
was actually going to the store, and I went outside and seen smoke billowing out of the sides of the walls and out of the window, and tried to use some fire extinguishers on it. I used 4 of them, got it contained where I could through the window, and then just started shoveling snow in because the garden hoses wouldn't do anything because they're frozen
Right.
solid.
Yep.
Yep.
It sucked. It sucked a lot just kind of watching your car on there and everything I've kind of worked hard for. Sitting there engulfed in black, thick smoke. You couldn't take 2 steps in there without immediately wanting to like vomit. It was
Right. Yeah.
insanely thick smoke, super, super hot. I've never dealt with anything like that, so I didn't really know what to expect. I thought I could kind of walk in there, grab some fire extinguishers, walk out, but that wasn't possible.
Wow.
It took, I think, about 15 minutes for the fire department to show up.
Yeah.
I had the flames knocked out for the most part. When they walked in, they opened the garage door with the manual release because all the electricity out there was burned up or just didn't
Right.
work.
Yeah.
So they opened that up, and there was no open flames, but there was still flame inside the wall between the insulation and the outer wall.
Oh wow.
So they tore that whole wall down inside and just sprayed water all over all of my stuff, which I understand. I'm glad they did, but it's definitely hard to kind of watch all of your spare parts and boxes and tools and
Yeah.
everything just get soaked in water and flames and smoke, and it sucked. It was terrible, to be quite honest. But
Right.
we're about 2.5 months into it, and so far they have removed like 70% of the items out there to go clean. They take all the stuff out of the shop, they bring it to a facility to clean with like ultrasonic cleaners and stuff, and they store it there until the building is done. But
Wow.
the insurance has been insurancing, if you will. So
Yeah.
they haven't started on the building at all. So it's just a shell
Wow.
that smells awful, and some of my stuff's still in there. It's going to be a long process. I don't know how
Yeah.
long it's going to take to recover stuff.
Right. Wow.
We're here.
Damn.
Yeah, but
The
That's
car
crazy.
got
So-
pretty torched on the one side, right? Like
it did. So the car was about probably 6 feet away from the source of the fire. So the hatch was sitting right next to the hatch is pretty much gone. The whole right side of the car, the wrap is melted and stuff. Honestly, most of it's kind of unscathed, but one thing I didn't know that I learned is smoke itself is super corrosive. So any bare metal parts, anything that is electronic, anything like that is basically rusty or junk. I didn't know how serious that was until you kind of let things sit for like a few weeks and they don't work anymore. So like I had a big torpedo heater thing in the ground, and that's got an electric motor on it. It worked the
Yeah.
first few days after that, and then after that, it doesn't even turn anymore.
Wow.
The corrosion is pretty serious. So
Wow.
everything that wasn't painted was rusty ball of junk.
Wow.
I had 3 spare blocks in there. All 3 of those blocks are junk. The engine that's in here now, I haven't torn it apart yet because I honestly just, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
stressful, so I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I need to. I need to inspect it and see if it's good inside because the cylinder walls of the other 3 engines are just a ball of rust.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's
it sucks,
crazy.
but I'm trying to keep it positive here.
Right.
Not so here, just in life in general. So we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
The
Well-
parts that are lost, and kind of got to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Dang.
That's a tough one. Then, you know,
Yeah.
like you said, insurance is always insurancing. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, so are you still kind of in the like figuring out where the program is for even the year? Is that kind of what the phase is right now? Is just figuring out?
So I'm kind of an idiot in that sense. I'm not stupid. Like I won't leave my family struggling by any means,
Yeah.
but I will try as hard as I can. I'll do whatever I can to make it work. So there's never a point that I thought I'm not going to make it. As soon as I saw the car was still
Right.
relatively okay, I knew I can get the car together and figure it out. So we are running this year. Absolutely.
Cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I got some new parts, new partners, and
Yeah.
yeah, it should be a lot of fun. A little bit back to the fire thing. So what the fire investigator told me while she was going through stuff is that lithium-ion batteries are becoming more and more prevalent in fires, and the biggest reason is because they're never supposed to be in below freezing temperatures, which I never knew that. They
Yeah.
had all my
I
Milwaukee
figured they
batteries
would be
outside
better at it.
charging. No, she said don't do that. She said the number one fire cause from a lithium that she's seen is actually cordless lawnmowers. They use them in the summer and they sit them on the charger and they should sit in the garage in the charger forever. And it gets below freezing, and then the charger kicks in, and then that can get things a little wacky, and then they explode. So what she said is to always charge batteries, preferably inside, unhook them from the charger, and store them in a climate-controlled environment, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of learning. But that's my little PSA is
Yeah.
don't leave batteries outside in the charger if it's below freezing. I've done it for years, never had an issue. So I'm not one to like preach and like I don't do that, but I've always had my batteries in the charger because if I use them, I want it to be charged.
My drift car right now is outside, has been outside all winter on a trickle charger because I don't have a shop anymore.
So if it's a regular like lead acid battery, it's really no concern. But if it's a lithium ion battery, that's where the concern comes in.
All right, so like all the drill batteries, my jump pack, like all that. Yikes.
Yeah, you start looking around your house, it's literally everything that you have that's cordless that actually works good is probably lithium ion.
It's definitely one of the scenarios I feel like where it's like you always like think to yourself like that could never happen or it won't happen to me type style. And now unfortunately, but fortunately, like you're the PSA face of keep that shit.
Silver lining, if I can help somebody not have that happen, and that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, just think about all of my buddies' garages and stuff in Jersey and like all the Milwaukees and the anti-gravity batteries and things like that, and just on a charger, and it's below freezing.
I've done it my whole life with no issues. But 30
I'm
years into it, we have an issue.
I'm gonna go take all my batteries off the charger after this. I'm like,
holy shit. Yeah, I mean, like you definitely heard stuff like that, like in New York, of like like the scooters and shit like that they just explode out of nowhere for no reason, and ultimately that there is a reason, and I guess that truly was it,
Yeah, actually, whenever it first happened, I thought the battery charger itself caught on fire, because the cords were all melted together and it looked like that's what caught on fire, but the investigator and me found like pieces of that battery in like a 4 to 5 foot radius from it exploding, and there's little pieces of the battery in the box like scattered. So she's like, yeah, it exploded.
Battery by day and frag grenade by night.
Yeah, dude.
That's right. And the lapse of judgment a little bit. I was working in the garage until probably 11:30 at night or so that night, and I put the battery in the charger right before I went inside. So it was on the charger from 11:30, and the fire started about I think around 11:30 a.m. or a.m. the next morning, basically.
Okay.
So it was in the charger overnight without any issue, and then it wasn't. So
thank goodness, honestly. Like in a shitty
it could have been a lot worse for sure.
Yeah, it is a good thing. If it were to happen, if it was you couldn't stop it at all, it's best that it did happen when it did.
Yeah, or if I was working, if I was driving my truck and I wasn't home, the whole place would have burned down for sure.
Yep.
Again, kind of, I have a lot to say because I've gone through a lot through this, if you will. So another thing I didn't know was how hot smoke was, which sounds kind of dumb.
Okay.
But the fire was all the way against the wall by the window, and it busted the window out and burned that whole wall up. But the smoke damage in the top peak of the trusses looked like there's an open flame on like all of them at the very peak. Down at the bottom of the trusses, you can't there's no standing or anything. The top of the smoke it's so hot. It actually charged that, and the fire investigator said that there was a hole. If it would have burned a hole through the roof, then that would have probably lit up, and then the whole shop would have been on fire, and it would have been gone.
More oxygen, and it would have just really ate.
Yeah, I never knew how hot smoke got. Like everything in the rafters. So I had body panels and spare parts and
Yeah.
any banner on the wall, all the LED lights and stuff I had up top, all of that melted. Like, I don't know how hot it was, but gone.
That's
All of it's
crazy.
just trashed.
Yeah.
And then everything on the ground is pretty much okay. So,
That's,
PSA, again, you
Yeah.
probably learned in elementary school to always crawl if you get in a fire and you're in a smoky room to go on the ground, and that's why,
yeah.
because you will you'll not live through that. So
Wow.
Yeah,
And
you
more
turn that,
PSAs.
turning
Yeah.
that place into straight charcoal. You were
Right.
This
you were
is
just
like-
trying to get ready
It
for
was.
yeah.
Is the barn itself like toast, or is it?
That's a cool part about dealing with insurance. I don't really know.
Wow.
My contractor and the adjuster that came out think that it needs to be torn down and start from scratch.
Yeah.
For sure, nine trusses need to be replaced. There's two left, and the two ends basically are
Yeah.
safe, they say.
Yeah.
But the other nine need to be replaced. The whole roof needs to be replaced. The whole wall on the one side.
Wow.
All the siding needs to be removed because it's a log home, and the part of our HOAs, the shops have to match the house, so it has like log siding. So
Oh.
all the smoke went through the log siding, so all the siding on all four corners need to be taken off.
Wow.
So insurance basically wants to rebuild it and take the trusses off and put new trusses in and kind of slap some paint on it, call it good. And my contractor is not thrilled with that, so that's why we're waiting. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
tough.
and there's the whole personal property, so all the items inside. We haven't even started that list yet, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. Because I've previously, before I drove a truck, I was a mechanic for pretty much all my life. I started trucking last year. So I had my whole toolbox that I've had at my house that I built the car with originally. I had my toolbox that I put in the trailer. I had all my tools from being a mechanic for a living. So
Yeah.
I had 6 toolboxes out there full of tools. And
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
all that is just, everything is so covered in soot. It's like grease. It doesn't like wipe off easy. You have to
Oh,
like
yeah.
scrub it with soap and then it comes
Right.
off. But then it still smells like smoke.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
anything electronic is basically junk because internally it's corroded. So all the power tools, any computer, anything electronic is junk.
Yeah.
So,
And like you
yeah,
said
it's,
too, like how hot the smoke was, it probably just heat soaked itself on top of the corrosion. Like, wow,
Mhm.
Dang.
that
it's
sucks, man.
it's something I hope no one ever deals with because it's in my all reality. My situation wasn't as bad as it could have been. It could have been way, way worse. I'm very thankful that I was able to catch it when I did, but it still sucks. It's still a lot that I would imagine it'll probably be a year or better before we get this all figured out.
Oh yeah.
I've had some friends had some similar issues that they said up to like 3 years before they finally figured out personal property stuff. So
Yeah.